Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's class. It's great to have you back. Last time we stopped when we spoke about the whole computer system. We spoke about what a computer is. And if I may quickly summarize, what we said was that a computer is a device, an electronic device that accepts inputs, processes those inputs, and gives out the inputs that were processed as an output. And that output can be given out directly, maybe to a screen, or it could be printed out in form of hard copy, maybe using a printer. We also said that a computer system is all of the parts of this computer that make it work by working together. So all of the input devices, that's the devices that are used to input data, and generally all of the parts of the computer, the software inclusive, that work together to achieve the goal is what we call the computer system. Okay, so today we'll be looking at the first part of a computer system, which is called the hardware part of the computer system. And by definition, the hardware of a computer refers to the parts of the computer that can be seen, that can be felt, that you can touch and you can carry around. So if you can carry the keyboard of your computer, that makes it hardware. Any part of the computer that you can carry is referred to as hardware. We'll go over softwares, but today we'll be concentrating on hardware devices. So once again, hardware devices are parts of the computer that you can see, you can touch, you can feel. Okay. There are several different types of hardware devices, I should say. We'll be going over what most of them are, what some of them are. Okay, so let's jump into that right away. So yes, it's important to know that these hardware devices are playing a vital role for us, because the more hardware devices you have, the more features your computer may have. Okay. So the first type of hardware devices, or the first category of hardware devices we'll be going over, are the input devices. Like we have this keyboard here. Input devices help you type or send in some sort of data, maybe a movement, like I'm moving the mouse right now. That's the type of data, and it's being sent from my mouse to the computer to be processed. So my mouse is helping me send in this data to the computer to process. And if you type on this keyboard 7, 8, 9, that's going to be sent to your CPU processing. So that makes this keyboard an input device. Messages are going into the computer from these types of devices. Next, we have the output devices. Output devices help to render data that has already been processed by a computer. So if you type 789 and it appears here, that means that the CPU is done processing those numbers, and that's why it has been sent out for you to see on the screen. So examples of output devices are monitors, projectors, printers, speakers. In the case of speakers, they usually will send out sound. And in the case of printers, they usually will have it printed on a piece of paper. When output devices render on a piece of paper, we refer to that as hard copy. And anything that is not physically felt but is sent out by an output device, like light, in the case of monitors and projectors, or sound like speakers, where you cannot catch the sound in your hand, that's referred to as soft copy. So that's why we have people say, how about you send me this song? Do you have the soft copy of this document? And when they say, do you have the hard copy of this document? It means that it must have been printed out using a printer. Next, we have the storage devices. Storage devices are not very popular as we have, because storage devices are more or less like auxiliary devices. They are not part of the computer by default in some cases. So yeah, the storage device is used when the processed data is sent out, but rather than just have it sent on a screen or just have it flashed on a projector or printed out on a printer, it's possible to store that data and keep it somewhere for future use. That's the use of a storage device. And examples of that would be the hard drives or the SSD drives, which are still hard drives but just better than the HDD versions. We have USBs. We have these SD cards, which are used mainly for cameras, and we have these which are used in a lot of phones these days. So yes, as far as you can store data on all of these, if it's a flash drive, if it's a hard drive or anything, as far as you can store data on it, it's called a storage device. And that's another type of hardware. Next, we have the processing devices. So we said a computer takes in input to process it and send out the output. Now, the processing part is done by something. And that something is actually something that can be physically felt and carried around. And like we had seen before, that's called the processor of the computer. So the processor is a processing device. And yeah, that's basically it for the processing devices. Next, we have communication devices. Communication devices are used to help the computer send data from one computer or node or device to another computer. A good example of this would be the Wi-Fi, the MiFi, the routers, the modems, the network cards, and etc. We have Bluetooth as well. That's also a communication device. And interestingly, Bluetooth is hardware. It looks just like this, but it's in your computer's chassis or body, so you cannot see it. But yeah, it's possible for someone's Bluetooth to be spoiled or broken, and that just means that this is spoiled. And when you take it to an electronic shop, they'll just pull this out and replace it with a new one, and you'll have your Bluetooth working again. So it's good to remember that that is also hardware. Okay, so we can see how important the hardware part of the computer is and the vital role that they play in the computer. Hope everybody understood this lesson. I'll be sending you a few questions to answer shortly. Have a great one.